Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Daily Betslip. Myself, Peter Dewey. It is our faces again. We've got a jam-packed show today, and it is a double stream Monday for yours truly, because I am doing Green on the Greens alongside Cody Williams at 6 o'clock as well. But on this show, we are talking all MLB, because pretty much that's I think it's literally the only thing that's going on tonight. So, ton of MLB picks. We got community picks. We got bad beat of the night. And then we got game of the night is the Braves and Phillies, and then we are going to rank our top 5 wide receivers. We did top 5 quarterbacks last week. Today we're going to talk a little top 5 wide receivers. But let's start off, as always, with the bad beat of the day. I believe it is, fortunately, your Yankees, Peter. What happened?
Yeah, it is my Yankees. So this one's from Saturday, actually. The Yankees were up 3-0 on the Orioles. And in their first 85 games this year, the Yankees only lost one time when they had a 3-run lead in a game. They proceeded to blow that lead with Garrett Cole on the mound, nonetheless. Ended up losing that game. So tough one if you had Yankees run line or Yankees money line. It's the third time they've done that in the last 11 games. So betting on the Yankees right now, a little volatile.
Yankees 5-5 in their last 10 games. Blue Jays, on the other hand, 8-2 in their last 10 games. I think they're 6-1 or 7-1 since they fired their manager. How concerned are you, Peter? And give me an estimation. What day will the Blue Jays pass the Yankees in the AL East standings?
I hope they don't pass them. The Yankees still have a 12.5 game lead, but I am a little concerned about the Jays. I think if they get a pitcher at the deadline, they're going to be a really tough out in the playoffs. But at the same time, I think the Yankees, they have to make some moves themselves. They can still improve their roster. They need some bullpen arms after Michael King went down for the year. So I don't know. I'm not too concerned about anyone in the AL East. I'm really just concerned about the Astros right now. And I'm glad the Red Sox are pretty much out of here because I just did not want to face them in the playoffs. But the Astros look really good, man. That's what I'm nervous about.
Should be nervous about the Blue Jays. I'm going to say August 29th, a little over a month, the Blue Jays will officially pass the Yankees in the AL East standings. Ben Heisler really I'll give him a little over a month.
Ooh.
August 29th. Put it in the books. August 29th, we will do a show.
I'm holding you to that. The
Blue Jays will be ahead of the Yankees in the AL East. It's going to be glorious. And the whole Yankees fan base is going to be having a meltdown. Really quick, though, Ben Heisler chipping in with another bad beat submission. This one's a little bit, or a WNBA one between the Sun and the Lynx on Sunday night. He says, the over hit by half a point. Needed 53 total points in the fourth quarter for over to hit after neither team could score. So I guess if you were on the under bad beat for that one, I had kind of a bad beat last night. It was in person, so maybe it felt a little bit worse, but I parlayed both the Mets and the under. I went to the Mets-Padres game. I got aggressive with it. Mets won easily, but the under lost on a error, infield error. And what was it? I think the bottom of the 7th, I think it was. Padres ended up scoring more runs, so it didn't end up mattering. But that was pretty much the end of my bet on an error. It's always bad to lose out on an error.
That's tough.
Also, a guy at the end of my row got mad at me for getting up too often, which I think is like, first of all, I'm asking you to stand up. I'm not asking you to do a whole lot. Stand up for 5 seconds. And second of all, you're sitting at the end of the row. Don't buy tickets at the end of the row if you don't want to stand up multiple times during the game.
That's like that's what, if you get end of the row tickets, it's easy access for you to get out, but then you also got to know that's how everyone else is getting out too. It comes with it. Guy never been to a baseball game before?
Stand up for 5 seconds. That's all I'm asking. He looked at me. He's like, are you kidding me? I was like, what do you mean?
That's a wild move too, to question somebody. Yes, it's a free country. I'm going to do what I want to do at this baseball game. Yes.
Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Anyways, that was my experience last night. Now the Mets have just because of that one guy, now I'm kind of don't like the Mets anymore. So how about that?
Yeah, that's right. Now you're a Yankees fan. That's right.
Definitely not. A lot. I would need to run into about 62 of those guys in order for me to maybe favor the Yankees over the Mets. All right, let's get into some picks for today. We're going to start off with community picks. I think we have 5 of them. A lot of great submissions today, so let's dive into the first one. Chris Lynch at Bronx Lynchy. I bet this guy is a Yankees fan. He's from the Bronx, but he is backing a Red Sox pitcher, so maybe he's not a Yankees fan, but he's saying Nick Pivetta over 4.5 strikeouts. I don't know about you, Peter. I'm on the opposite for this one, though. We actually, in our article today, our BetSided editor's best prop bets, I took the under for this, actually. Guardians have the lowest strikeout rate in all the majors at 18.5%. And Nick Pivetta has stunk in recent starts. I'm going to talk about this from one of my picks here a little bit, but I think he's allowed at least 6 earned runs in his last 3 starts. So any thoughts on that pick yourself?
Yeah, no, I agree with you on this one. Pivetta has like a 13 ERA, I believe, over his last 3 or 4 starts. So
not good.
I'm kind of staying away from him.
But I will say in terms of strikeouts, he has still been striking people out, but he's going up against the Guardians, who for all season have been the best team when it comes to strikeout rate. Beers and Bow Ties chimes in. He says, let's go Red Sox money line minus 105.
Ooh. Sidney Sweeney curse comes to an end tonight? Is that what I'm hearing?
We are gonna. I have a pick for that game. We'll talk about that in a little bit more here shortly. But let's wrap up with the community picks here. Thank you for the submission there, Beers and Bow Ties. The next one for Mark G at Cincinnati Kid 00. I like a run line parlay with the Dodgers and the Astros. Gotta say, a run line parlay, I would personally not. I mean, hitting a run line in general is already hard enough. So it is the Astros against the A's and the Dodgers against the Nationals. I mean, to be fair, those are like the 2 best teams in the majors going up against the 2 worst teams in the majors. So if there's ever a time to do a run line parlay, maybe tonight is the night.
Yeah, I actually have a pick on both of these games, so I'll get into that later. But I don't mind that. And you'll be able to tell why my picks. I don't mind that parlay right there.
Run lines are just tough. They just
it is tough. It is tough.
Like I said, if there's a time to do one, I guess it'd be tonight with those 2 games.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Community pick number 3. Keith 20 at Ribman 20. Brewers Rockies over 8.5. I also have a bet on this game. I was on the Rockies last night. I should have just bet the over. 19 total runs scored between these 2 teams last night, and they're not at Coors Field. It is a Brewers home game. So 2 lefties going today, not great. I think they both have like 4.5 ERA, something around there. 2 offenses who have been good lately. I'm not going to argue against that bet. I'm going a different route. We'll get to it when I get my pick. But any thoughts on Brewers Rockies over 8.5, Peter?
Yeah, Rockies have really been hitting the ball well. They came into the break hot. And it was their bats that was kind of carrying them there. And I know, like you said, they're really good against lefties. So I don't mind the over there. I'm surprised it's only at 8.5 because you're right. I'm pretty sure Kyle Freeland, Aaron Ashby. They both have over 4 ERAs. So I think we see plenty of runs again tonight.
Yeah, Kyle Freeland 4.96 and Aaron Ashby 4.57. So
yeah,
could certainly see another high scoring one tonight. Best luck, Ribman. With that one. Okay, let's go with the next pick. I believe this is pick number 4. Yes. Justin Boutier at Jesse B29. Braves, Brewers, Padres moneyline parlay. Or I don't know if these are 3 separate moneyline picks. I'm assuming he's parlaying them. Maybe he's just on all 3. But that all favorites, all decent sized favorites, not massive favorites. Any thoughts on any of those?
Padres scare me, man. That's the only one in there that I'm a little nervous about. I know the Tigers stink, but the Padres have just not been playing good baseball lately. They kind of came into the break. We talked about this, I think, on Thursday's show, how they've kind of regressed back to where a lot of people thought they would be at the start of the season without Fernando Tatis. So that one probably worries me more than the other 2. I know the Rockies have lost like 4 in a row, so I don't mind the Brewers there. But Padres, I'm a little iffy on that one.
Yeah, Tigers sneaky good bullpen too. I know I bring that up whenever you talk with the Tigers, but that always concerns me because a good bullpen can steal some games away for bad teams. If you do parlay those 3 picks, by the way, I did do the math. It's a plus 281 parlay if you were to parlay them, but
okay.
They didn't say parlay. They might just be doing them all separate. All right, let's bring up the 5th and final community pick, and then we'll get into our best bets for the show. I like this one because it's a little gives us a little breakdown. That always makes our job a little bit easier. From the Young Buck Bets at Dylan Kelly Show, he says, I like the Braves a lot in the spot. Fried has been dominant all year long, and the Phillies hitters have the same amount of strikeouts, 229, as hits. against lefties this season. Well, that's a good little stat. That's a fun little stat. Loves the Brave. I love the Braves money line, like the run line as well, -1.5. I've hit both. So we will obviously talk about that one because that's our game of the night. So we're going to wrap up the show talking about Braves, Phillies.
Yeah.
But obviously, I mean, the Braves are favored in for a good reason. But are the Phillies worth a shot as an underdog? We'll see. And that was also because of their game of the night. That was their community poll. So we'll be betting on whatever the poll result is. I don't know if the poll is still live on Twitter. It should be up on YouTube, though. It is still live on Twitter. So go vote for that. And, yeah, we'll see who me and you are betting on in terms of a side. And I think the two of us have prop bets for that game, Peter. We have those locked in. So yeah, those are the community picks. Let's get into our best bets for tonight. 3 each. And I believe they are all MLB because that's the only thing that's happening, right?
Sure.
No WNBA tonight.
No WNBA.
No
tonight.
CFL tonight.
Yeah, no CFL either. What a weird night, man. Now this feels like the dog days. It feels like
this is the dog days. It's been we're in like this is like the second week of dog days of summer.
Yeah.
Really quick, Beers and Bow Ties chimes in. When the Braves win, it's usually by 2+ runs. I personally took Braves -1. A little bit of an interesting spin on the run line. You could always just, I'm sure sportsbooks have that alternate line where you just take -1, so you have the chance for the push if you don't want to go all the way to -1.5. Alrighty, let's get into our picks. Let's just alternate back and forth. Since they're all MLB, we may as well just alternate back and forth. I'm going to start, and then I'll go to you next, Pete. I'm going to start with the Guardians and the Red Sox, where we already touched on a little bit. The Sydney Sweeney curse, which I think is hilarious. Obviously, I think most people have heard about it, but if you haven't, the actor Sydney Sweeney threw out the first pitch for them against the Blue Jays on Friday, and they have been outscored, 40-10 since then? And not only are they getting outscored, like the errors that they're doing, like it actually looks like it's like a little league baseball team out there trying to like field runs, like not even a good little league team out there. So they're bad now. Is this what people haven't actually been talking about? These issues have kind of been going on longer since Sydney Sweeney threw out the first pitch. They're 22nd OPS this month. They're 1-9 in their last 10 games. They've been outscored 67-13 in their last 5 games. And as we mentioned earlier with Nick Pivetta going tonight, terrible lately, allowed at least 6 earned runs in 3 straight starts. So I'm going to back the Guardians as a pick'em in this one. So I'm going against Beers and Bow Ties. I apologize. Also, it is just kind of fun to ride out the Sydney Sweeney curse. Of course, that's obviously not a thing, but it's just kind of fun while it lasts. So there is nothing about this Red Sox team that makes me want to bet on them until they can prove that they can turn things around. And usually when teams are like can't get out of their own way, they need to either get like a day off at least or play a series against a really bad team. And the Guardians, they're not a great team, but they're solid. So I'll stick with Cleveland. I will continue to ride the Sydney Sweeney curse.
I'll never complain about anybody betting against the Red Sox, so I like that pick a lot. I'll dive into my first one here because we also touched on this game with the community is kind of aligned with us tonight. I'm taking the Dodgers run line against the Nationals -145 tonight. I think this is just a case, like we said, it's the best team in the National League against the worst team in the National League. The way I look at this, Paulo Espino is going for the Nationals. He's starting. On the surface, if you just looked at his numbers, he's 0-3, but he's got like a 3.57 ERA. And you're like, oh, he hasn't been that bad this year. Well, a lot of that is because he started the year out of the bullpen. Since he's been moved to the rotation, he's made 7 starts. He has a 4.88 ERA, a 5.65 FIP, and the Nationals are 1-6 in those 7 games. So he's not pitching well with the extra time. Also, he's 35 years old. It makes no sense to me that this rebuilding Nationals team is just throwing out a journeyman guy out there every 5th day. It doesn't really make any sense. And he's going against Mr. Undefeated Tony Gonsolin, who's 11-0 on the season. Dodgers are 14-3 in his games. And over his last 9 starts, which they've won 9 straight, 7 of them they've won by 2 or more runs. So the Dodgers are putting teams away. They've also won 8 straight coming into this game. They're about as hot as you can get. Playing a Nationals team that just is completely out of it. The Juan Soto thing, I feel like, is kind of taken over this team of like, damn, if we trade Juan Soto, we're kind of done for the next, who knows how long. So I like the Dodgers here. I think they win this game very easily.
What are the chances that the Nationals are just looking to wait until this series is over before just trading Juan Soto to the Dodgers?
I wouldn't be surprised by it. As you know, I think he's going to go to the Dodgers. So I wouldn't be shocked. They can't do it during this series. That will look so
That
bad.
would be
But
hilarious. They should just trade him mid-game, and he just literally just changes dugouts and changes uniforms and then starts playing.
they just trade him right before the lineup cards are released. He's playing right field for the
Amazing.
Dodgers instead.
That'd be amazing. Also, Tony Gonsolin, I was just trying to look it up while you were talking there. I was trying to find his Cy Young odds because I wrote an article a couple weeks ago, and I think he was like 10-1 back then. So I looked at a couple sports books. I can't find them right now, but I assume they have to be shorter. He can't still be at 10-1, can he?
I would hope, because he's actually pitching deeper into games. Like, I think the argument on him at the beginning of the year is he was basically just pitching 5 innings every game. Like, he's been going deeper into games now where it's like, yeah, he's actually been fantastic. So unless the sports books are reading into his all-star game performance, I think it has to be shorter than 10-1.
And the other kind of knock against him, he's not a ton of strikeouts, only 8.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. So he's not exactly a strikeout artist. But there you go. Dodgers run line all the way at -145, but probably deservedly so against the Nationals. I got 2 underdog picks coming up. I'm going to go with the same underdog that I was on last night. We already talked about this game briefly, but the Rockies and the Brewers, I'll take the Rockies again. I said I was on them last night, plus 190, and they were winning in the bottom of the 8th and then blew it and then almost came back, ended up losing by 1 run, 10-9. I probably should have just taken the plus 1.5 run line. I got greedy. Now I'm going to get greedy again and try to make up for it. But Rockies are just good against lefties. 4th in the majors in batting average on the road against lefties, which is always extremely important when you're looking at the Rockies batting splits and they're playing on the road. You have to kind of put that into it because they play at Coors Field. So their batting numbers, if you include their home games, are going to be, a little bit inflated. But even on the road, they're 4th in the majors in batting average against lefties. And the Brewers are bad against lefties, 27th in batting average at home against left-handed pitchers. And we already talked about it. This is a battle of lefties between Aaron Ashby and Kyle Freeland. They scored 4 runs on lefty Eric Lauer last night. So if they can do that against him, now they face a much worse left-handed pitcher. I think they can get it done again tonight. I mean, last night you would think 9 runs would have been good enough to get the win. It wasn't. Hopefully they can score it even just close to that many runs tonight. Hopefully that'll be enough to get the win. So little underdog, plus 160 in the Rockies tonight against the Brewers.
Don't mind that at all. I like the overplay in our community picks as well. I think that one feels gonna come through tonight. All right, my second pick. I got a little prop here. I'm taking the first 5 innings under in Rangers Mariners tonight, which is a interesting matchup. But I like the starting pitching matchup here. And you just talked about splits, home road splits. One of the biggest home road splits I've seen of any starter this year is the Rangers starter tonight, Glenn Otto. At home this year, he has a 7.39 ERA and 7 starts. On the road, he has a 3.30 ERA and a 1.2 whip. He's holding opponents to just a 298 slugging percentage. Wow. It's a completely different pitcher on the road. It's very weird because normally, especially with young pitchers, they pitch better at home than they do on the road. So this is just a weird one. And then he's facing Chris Flexen, who's actually been really solid for the Mariners lately. The team's won his last 5 starts. He's allowed 3 or fewer runs in 10 straight. So you're looking at a guy who's probably in his best form he's been all season. I know he got off to a bit of a slow start this year. I think he and Otto keep this relatively low scoring over the first 5 innings. Also, the Mariners offense has not looked good the last 3 games, granted against the Astros, without Julio Rodriguez. Not sure if he's going to be back tonight yet. So I don't mind taking a shot here. The Mariners, they were kind of due to come back to earth a little bit. I think we see a lower scoring game against a Rangers offense that's not that great. And we got 2 pitchers that in this spot should be pretty solid.
All right, I like it. I'm a big fan of first 5 inning bets. I should be doing them more. I used to do them all the time. This season, I've kind of stayed away from them for some reason. My final pick before we get to the game of the night later on is another underdog, slight underdog this time, though, going with the red-hot Baltimore Orioles. By far the most surprising team of the year. One of the only 15, 16 wins away from getting the over on their preseason win total. Going to take them slight underdogs against the Rays tonight. Austin Voth Is that how you pronounce his last name? I think so. 6.38 ERA, but he has a 3.94 FIP. Like, it's crazy this late in the year that you see someone with that big of a discrepancy between his ERA and his FIP. Obviously, FIP is field independent pitching, and the Orioles claimed him off waivers from, I think it was the Nationals. And since he's signed with the Orioles, he has a 3.42 ERA across 9 games for them, and he's already faced the Rays twice this season, and he's given up 0 earned runs across 5 combined innings. And also, the Orioles offense has been statistically better than the Rays this year. Not something I thought I would have said on July 25th, but better offense. Austin Voth, like I said, is kind of numbers. The numbers are deceiving. Yeah, and I think the Orioles are a decent home underdog here in this spot. So Orioles plus 105.
I love me some O's, dude. They're only 3.5 games out of the playoffs right now, so I don't mind them jumping into this playoff spot. I also just saw Cody's comment because I was going to say something about this. He said juicy, but Ronald Odor to get a hit is minus 150. Ben wrote this up in his MLB best bets today. Odor's numbers against Kluber are absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's like an over 400 batting average, isn't it? I think it's a 444 batting average.
It's nuts. He so in 18 at bats, he has 8 hits, 3 homers, 2 doubles, and he's only struck out twice in 18 at bats. Like, he just destroys him.
Wow.
So I think that's a worthwhile prop to look at for sure.
Great call out by Cody, and also Beers and Bowtie says the worst bet is no runs first inning. I started doing those at the start of the year because they're a popular bet on Twitter nowadays. Yeah, they stink. I hate them. It's just too stressful and too many weird things happen and they end up losing. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those personally. Okay, Peter, go ahead with your last pick.
Yeah, my last one. I'm actually tailing something that you wrote up today because I was looking. So I'm all over big favorites tonight, but I'm taking run lines. I'm taking the Astros minus 130 against the A's on the run line. So that's why I like that run line parlay because I'm playing both of these separately. Adam Aller, the A's starter, has gotten rocked this year. He has an over 6 ERA. He's facing Jake Odorizzi, who's actually been really solid for the Astros. Got a 3.56 ERA. Pitched some really good starts, but they've been winning his starts as well lately. And the A's, the way I look at this team, the A's are the worst offense in baseball. They're like dead last in OPS. They're second to last in run. They don't hit at all. And now they're going to face an Astros team that just swept the Mariners, beat the Yankees in a doubleheader, probably playing some of their best baseball of the season. I just don't see it. Like, it's a similar situation to what I have in my Dodgers pick. Like, I think the Astros are a far better team. You're not laying too much juice with this run line. Like, it's not insane. I think it's worth a shot here. I'm pretty sure that the Astros are going to win this game going away.
So that explains why you liked, I forget who it was, maybe we can bring it up again, the community pick of the Dodgers Astros run line parlay, because you're already on both of them. So
exactly,
like a little bit of a couple chalky picks from you today, Peter.
Yeah, I'm not always that chalky in MLB, but there wasn't a lot of stuff jumping out to me. And I just saw both these games. The Dodgers one jumped. I've been trying to back Tony Gonsolin every time he pitches in some manner, whether it's like him to get the win, something. But just been trying to back him every time. And then I saw the Astros one. I was like, why not? Let's hop on it.
It's not chalky if it wins, or it might still be chalky, but who cares? If it wins,
yeah,
it wins.
If it wins, that's all I care about. Exactly.
Right, exactly. But if it loses, when you make chalky picks, like when anyone makes a chalky pick and it loses, there's no worse feeling in the world because you feel like such a sucker.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. I'm gonna if these lose, I'll probably get chirped a little bit on Twitter, but that's all right. I mean,
that's all right. All right, let's bring up the recap graphic for our picks. So I'm on Guardians as a pick 'em against the Red Sox. Going to keep betting on the Sidney Sweeney curse. Rockies plus 160 against the Brewers. Orioles plus 105 against the Rays. Peter, you're on Dodgers run line against the Nationals. First 5 under 4.5 between the Rangers and Mariners. And then Astros run line against the Athletics. And we will still have final picks for the show when we talk game of the night. We both have a pick for the Phillies and the Braves game, which is the game of the night. But first, let's switch over to a little NFL. Like I said, last week we gave out our rankings for the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. People thought my Matt Ryan pick was biased. How dare they? That's completely.
Right. They were 100% right then.
That was the most unbiased thing I've ever done in my life. I'm just, that was an objective opinion.
Just a genuine football enjoyer. That's all you were when making that pick.
Correct. Yes. So for those watching on YouTube, let us know your top 5 wide receivers in the chat, and we'll bring up a few, or we'll mention a few at the end once we get through ours. But yes, top 5 wide receivers. Peter, you started off last week. Why don't you start off again? Give me your top 5 wide receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, I figured yours were going to be like Drake London, Russell Gage, Calvin Ridley. So I decided to pick some different guys. But so my number 5, starting at 5, I got DeAndre Hopkins. No, he's suspended for this year, but one of the things I look at with receivers is like, how are these guys independent of their quarterback? And DeAndre Hopkins, no matter if it's Kyler Murray, Colt McCoy, back when he was on the Texans, when it was Matt Schaub, whoever it was, DeAndre Hopkins has been dominant. He has the second lowest drop percentage in all football. I think that's super important when your number 1 receiver is also the most reliable receiver on the field. So I'm a big fan of DeAndre Hopkins. Hopefully when he comes back off of the suspension, he proves me right. So I have him at number 5. Number 4, I have Jamar Chase. This one, it may be a little too premature. I think he might be the best deep threat in all of football. I think him and Tyreek Hill kind of 1-2, 1A, 1B probably right there. And what he did as a rookie is just unbelievable. Like to walk in and just immediately be, a top 5 receiver in the game last year. I think that the sky's the limit for him. This guy didn't play football for a year, came in as a rookie, and then just absolutely blew the top off of defenses. And as you mentioned in our quarterback rankings, Joe Burrow is going to have an offensive line, a better one next year, which just means more time to get the ball to Jamar Chase. So I have him at number 4. I have his college teammate Justin Jefferson at number 3. Another guy who just came in and lit the league on fire. Justin Jefferson doing some great stuff with Kirk Cousins. I would love to see him with an even better quarterback. And the thing I like about Justin Jefferson is Adam Thielen missed some games last year, and that didn't really slow him down. He is a proven number 1 receiver. I believe we both have him somewhere in our list. So love Justin Jefferson as number 3. Number 2, Triple Crown winner from last year, Cooper Kupp. What more can you say about Cooper Kupp? Like, dude, he just knows how to read a defense. His chemistry with Matt Stafford is absolutely unbelievable. The one thing with him is he maybe isn't the greatest, one-on-one, throw the ball up guy, catch the ball just because of his size. But at the same time, he just eats up run after the catch every single time. So I have him at 2. Took a lot out of me not to have him at 1, but the guy I have at 1, I have Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams, if you go on Pro Football Focus's WAR statistic for receivers, he has the highest over the past 6 years. In addition to that, he had a 92.7 PFF grade last year, which was actually second to Cooper Kupp at 93. But, 92.7 versus 93, not much of a difference. Devontae Adams, I'm intrigued to see what he does with Derek Carr this year. Obviously, he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. But at the same time, the guy is the best red zone threat in all of football. I think he's been the longevity of him being the best receiver. It's been several years now. So I have him at number 1. I'm very excited for him in a new offense, kind of new scheme to see what he can do.
I'm not going to argue with your wide receiver list as much as your quarterback list last week. Definitely a couple of things I disagree with. I'm going to get to my top 5 here in a moment, but I don't have DeAndre Hopkins in there. I don't even know if right now I can put DeAndre Hopkins in my top 10.
Wow, really?
Also, side note, I forgot he was suspended for the first 6 games this year. That's wild. But we're talking best wide receivers this year.
I still think he is.
Last year, even when he was healthy, he wasn't having a good year. Like his first, I'm looking at his first few games. Like he didn't break 100 yards in a single game last year.
They spread the ball around a lot last year, though, and they were winning games. I think he commands so much attention. To me, that matters also when you're looking at a receiver. Like he commands so much attention, he makes your offense better. They couldn't buy a game as soon as he was out for the year. They couldn't win a game. And it was because it's we don't have the guy who's going to get doubled every single time and he still can make plays. That's part of being a number 1 receiver too, is how much is the defense scheming for you. I think all 5 of the guys on my list, it's that's the number 1 guy you're trying to stop when you face those teams.
Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, he definitely demanded attention, that's for sure. All right, I'll give out my top 5, and then maybe we can discuss this a little bit, because there's another point that I certainly disagree with that you made on your list. So diving into my top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. I'm going to start off with a guy that I am blown away you left off your list, and that's Stephon Diggs, one of the best route runners in the NFL. His catch percentage did drop a little bit last year, so that's why he's kind of down in the 5th spot for me. He only caught 62.8% of targets compared to the year before. He was 76.5, but still one of the best route runners in the entire NFL. And Josh Allen wouldn't have taken the steps forward that he's taken the past couple of years without Stephon Diggs. Number 4, Tyreek Hill. Obviously, he has to be on the list here. And I don't know if this can be proven what I'm about to say, but the eye test is that, to me, he seems like he's the fastest NFL player of all time. Maybe Devin Hester might be the only one who looks faster on the field over Tyreek Hill. Also, very underrated hands, in my opinion. We will see how he does this year, obviously, without Patrick Mahomes. Number 3, Justin Jefferson. We do agree on this one. This is the guy who, on this list, he's the only one who didn't play with a real elite quarterback last year. He had Kirk Cousins for quarterback and another talented receiver in Adam Thielen, and he still had the 2nd most receiving yards in the NFL with over 1,600. So Justin Jefferson, I think, deserves to be on this list. He deserves to be in the top 3 because of just what he's done with a subpar quarterback at best. And then number 1 and 2, I mean, if you know anything about football, these two guys have to be number 1 and number 2. But for me, Davante Adams is the 2nd best. Running, hand, speed, athleticism, he has it all. I don't really have too much more to say about Davante Adams. You've already covered it, but in my opinion, this is where I disagree with you. Cooper Kupp is the number 1 best receiver in the NFL this year. We're talking this year, Peter. He is the best. NFL offensive MVP last year. He was the highest graded receiver by PFF, almost 2,000 yards. I don't know how, after the season he had last year, you don't rank him number 1. And one thing that he does that Davante Adams doesn't necessarily do, he is a fantastic run blocker, 2nd best run blocker in the NFL from 2019 to 2021 in terms of wide receivers. Cooper Kupp does it all. Offensive MVP, almost 2,000 yards last year. There's no question in my mind he is the number 1 receiver in the NFL in 2022.
I think that's fair. I think Davante Adams, just his body of work over the past 5-6 years, I would take that over Cooper Kupp's. I think I'm not going to overvalue last season heading into this season. I think the scary thing for Davante Adams is he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers. That's more of where.
He has a Hall of Fame quarterback, though.
You're saying Derek Carr's a Hall of Fame quarterback?
That's a quote from Davante Adams. You must have saw it. I think it was over the weekend or like late last week. He was like, whenever you go from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another, there's a lot of adjustments or something like that.
Oh, man.
Derek Carr is a Hall of Famer. That's tough.
I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't mind your list at all. I left Tyreek Hill off my list because I don't know what Tyreek Hill is going to look like with Tua Tagovailoa. Like we talk about this year. I genuinely don't know. Like Tyreek Hill is going from Patrick Mahomes to Tua, and could be a completely different player. He could still be really good, and then he deserves to be in this list. But I'm giving Patrick Mahomes a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt than I will Tyreek Hill.
I don't think I've ever seen a player hype up their quarterback more than Tyreek Hill has with Tua. It seems like he does like media tours telling people how good Tua is. It's like, okay. I guess
he's trying to justify it to himself. Like, I genuinely think he's trying to justify it to himself because obviously he doesn't re-up. Like, if he re-ups with Pat Mahomes, yeah, he probably doesn't get as much money because they weren't going to give him the same offer. But it's like, you're set for life, dude. Like, you're going to play with Pat Mahomes for the entire prime of your career. Now you run this risk. And how many times have we seen receivers leave a good quarterback and then they stink and then they come? The one I always think about is you remember James Jones on the Packers? And yes. He got a huge deal with the Raiders and a year later was cut and then he was back on the Packers and he was good again. And I was oh, it's because Aaron Rodgers is there. That's why. And so that I feel is a little bit of a risk on his part, and he's just trying to this is why I did it because Tua is so great. He did it for the money. That's why he did it.
All right, we're going to talk about Game of the Night. Before we get into that, if you're watching, be sure to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, the like button, all that good stuff. But yeah, while we're going and talking about Game of the Night, if you want to give us your rankings for top 5 NFL wide receivers, we'll go over them because there are certainly a few others that that I could have put in my top 5. They were probably just outside the top 5. I'm not going to argue with your Jamar Chase being in the top 5. I had him in my top 5 for a second. I ended up taking him out. So, and then maybe next time we do a show together, maybe just later on this week, we'll do top 5 running backs as well, which is probably going to be a little bit of a tougher one because running backs, how different running backs have been. Like running backs used to be like the staple of every NFL offense. Now they're like kind of a side note.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But let's talk game of the night. We got Phillies, we got Braves, and I'll be honest, tough night to pick game of the night because there's not many good matchups. Like this is really the only one. All the really good teams are playing really bad teams for the most part. So this is like the only game between like 2 solid teams. So Braves, Phillies. NL East matchup. Why don't we just dive right into our picks here, and then we'll find out who the winner of the poll was, and we'll back that as well. So, Peter, go ahead with your pick for tonight's Braves versus Phillies matchup. It is Max Fried going for the Braves against Ranger Suarez, a battle of lefties. He's going for the Phillies. So go ahead, give me your best bet for tonight.
Yeah, I'm backing a guy who kills lefties, Braves third baseman Austin Riley. I'm taking him over 1.5 total bases, minus 110. He's cleared this in 5 of his last 8 games, so been hitting the ball really well lately. And the thing I love about Austin Riley against lefties, he's slashing 333, 422, 710 this season with 8 home runs in 93 at bats. So he is just destroying left-handed pitching. Ranger Suarez only allowed 9 homers this year, but he's allowed a home run in each of his 3 of his last 4 starts. So he's been getting knocked around a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Riley puts a double or a home run in one of his first at bats. If not, I don't mind him having a shot to get 2 hits tonight. So I like this prop for him. Anytime he's faced a lefty this year, I think I've put him in our daily dinger picks over at BetSided. So felt this was appropriate. If I'm going to bet on him to hit a home run, might as well bet on him to go over 1.5 total bases too.
Who's your daily dinger pick for today? Do you remember?
Austin Riley. It's Austin Riley. Yeah.
All right, Austin Riley. I'm going with a prop bet as well. Going with a pitcher one though. Ranger Suarez is going to take the over on his strikeout total tonight. Over 4.5, right around even money. The Braves, as good as they are, and this has actually been a thing with the Braves the past few years, they strike out a lot. One of the highest strikeout percentages in Major League Baseball, 28th in strikeout rate, striking out on 24.8% of their plate appearances. And Ranger Suarez just faced this Braves team back on June 29th, and he recorded 7 strikeouts, well over the total of 4.5. So I keep it pretty simple when it comes to strikeout props. Look at it, how often the team strikes out. Look at how often the pitcher strikes out. A previous matchup always helps. He checks a lot of boxes, and you can still get it at plus money out there. So Ranger Suarez over 4.5 strikeouts for me in tonight's game of the night.
I like that play a lot. The Braves you're right. They strike out a ton, but they've been playing really well lately. Kind of like them in this spot, especially with Max Fried on the mound. He's been fantastic this year.
Yeah, 28th in strikeout rate. It's even gone up over the last 3 games to 26.4% over the last 3 games. And even last year, they won the World Series, but they're still 24th in strikeout rate. Back in 2020, they were 21st in strikeout rate. Like the past few years, despite being a solid team, they for some reason just get aggressive and strike out a lot. Yeah, and you like the Braves in that spot. That's good because you got to bet on them anyway because the community poll – overwhelming results, I believe. Braves minus 175 is the pick for that. I will say, community, you made us back an underdog on Thursday's show, the Giants against the Dodgers, and they lost. The Giants just got so much.
That was a tough one, man. The Giants came back and took the lead in that game. I don't know if you watched any of it, and then they blew it. That was tough because I was on the Giants that night. I was fired up, and then taken away from me.
Yeah, I didn't see the YouTube poll results, but Twitter poll, 56.7% of votes went towards Braves money line. So lock that in. We are both on the Braves tonight. I just hope they strike out a few times. Be nice. 5 times specifically to Ranger Suarez. Then
they can strike out 5 times to Ranger Suarez as long as Austin Riley hits a home run too.
Perfect. All right. So why don't you, if you have your picks in front of you, why don't you just run down your list again in case people are just joining us. So run down your picks for tonight. I'll run down mine, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, I got you. So I got Dodgers run line against the Nationals, minus 145. Astros run line against the A's, minus 130. Rangers, Mariners, first 5 innings under 4.5 runs at minus 120. And then Austin Riley over 1.5 total bases at minus 110.
All right, and I got Guardians minus 110 against the Red Sox, Rockies plus 160 against the Brewers, Orioles plus 105 against the Braves, and Ranger Suarez over 4.5 strikeouts at even money. And that is our show. Stick around because in 20 minutes I'm going to be going live with Cody Williams for Green on the Greens, talking the Rocket Mortgage Classic at Detroit Golf Club. And then for tomorrow's show, it'll be Ben and Reed going live at, I want to double check. Is it 5 p.m.?
I believe it is
5 p.m. Yes, it is 5 p.m. tomorrow with Ben and Reed. So thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff as always. And I will see you in 20 minutes.